Hi, I'm Seven Strider with my long overdue Batman Eternal number 6 review. Now I do apologise that this is overdue. It seems to be becoming a regular occurrence with my Batman Eternal reviews. It's just that sometimes life just does get in the way of actually being able to record videos and such. So I do apologise. In fact, when this video will hit YouTube, it will actually be the Wednesday of the Batman Eternal number 7 review, and I'll do my best to get that up on either the Wednesday or the Thursday, because I don't have any plans or anything that I need to sort out on those 2 days. So because I'm on the Tuesday, but by the time it's uploaded it'll be Wednesday, I know that I have no plans, so I'll be able to get that Batman Eternal number 7 review up quite quickly for you. So let's start off with Batman Eternal number 6. My reviews will be following the same pattern, where I'll be talking about the issue spoiler free, and then I'll be going spoilers at the end. So just first up, the cover there, I absolutely love that, and one of the things I thought about when I was actually just looking at that for the first time, I was like, that would go well with the Halloween issue, and then I actually thought, I will still be buying this series come Halloween, which was a daunting thing, and I thought actually I'd be buying this series come Christmas time and my birthday next year, because it's running for a whole damn year. Which is just something that I try to keep in mind as I read every issue. I mean, as you can see here, there's Batman on the front, and Batwing down the corner, and Jim Corrigan right there. It's not exactly spoilers if it's on the cover. So Batwing and Jim Corrigan do feature in this issue. Jim Corrigan actually appeared in issue 2. If you saw my issue 2 review, you said that there were a guy who showed up who kind of like read the mind of was it Sawyer or was it Montoya? Anyhow, one of the attending police officers at the subway crash, he kind of read the mind and made her forget that he was there, and also made her forget her 8th, I think it were, birthday party, just as a thing. So that was him. It's just like, I'm not used to seeing Jim Corrigan in the comics. I'm used to seeing his alter ego, Spectre. If you're unfamiliar with who Spectre is, Spectre is the personification of God's wrath. When Eclipso stopped being the angel of death for God, Eclipso is now a bad guy. Jim Corrigan, not Jim Corrigan, but the Spectre filled in as angel of death for God. He caused the firstborn in Egypt to be killed. This is the Spectre's handiwork here. He is a good guy though. He filled in after Eclipso as penance for his sins, for siding with Lucifer in the Morning War. So God does exist in the DC universe, although he's always referred to as the Voice. Spectre is the most powerful character in DC universe. I don't care what anyone says about Batman or anything, this guy literally has the power of God. You can't get stronger than that. So Jim Corrigan is in this issue, and just like as I said, I love the cover. And as soon as you enter the comic book here, and this is kind of just a little bit spoiler, but you're treated to a full page right there. That's probably not going to come out very well in the video, and he's fighting the Gentleman Ghost there, and that's just a real treat when you open it, just to see that. It's not the most what do you want to call it? It's not too focused on details. The art style remains the same all the way through, just nice, crisp, not overly cluttered with too many details, and it's very nice. It keeps things very clean throughout, and I do enjoy that. I'm actually just leafing through as just to give you an example of what I mean by clean. Here's a picture of Jim Corrigan casting a spell. It's just nice, crisp and clean. You can see what's going on. Not too cluttered with details, although I do appreciate details when given it in the right context. Last issue, the artist there, he did some details on clothing and everything. That was fantastic. Now this issue, reading it story-wise, I loved. Seriously, this has been one of the strongest issues so far. It's building up on story. There's not much action in here yet again, but I'm that sort of guy. I love a good solid story in a comic book, and this is just building even more on the story here. I loved it. And when I finished it, first time in a long time reading the comics, when I finished it, I was excited to read it again, to reread this issue. It was just that good. In fact, there is a preview at the end, like here, that much, pages, and it's not much, granted, but I just thought you could have added a little bit more to this issue, because I didn't want to stop reading it. It was very strong throughout. The only thing that I will say is that the cliffhanger at the end of this one isn't as strong as some of the cliffhangers in previous issues. So yet again, it's more character building stuff. You do see Batwing, you do see Jim Corrigan, and you do see Batman all in the same issue. And I do love that the Spectre, who's usually on the magic side of the DC Comics universe, is appearing in a Batman, a non-magic based comic, which I really enjoyed, because I've always been a massive fan of the magic universe in DC Comics, and with Justice League Dark being treated the way it were in Forever Evil, I kind of gave up on Justice League Dark. I'm not willing to read it any further, because I felt they were handed the short end of the stick when it came to the Forever Evil series that ends this Wednesday. Thank God for that. I've not been reading Forever Evil, like picking up all the issues, but I'm going to leaf through it while I'm at the comic book store, just to see what's going down in Forever Evil. I might even look up a review of it or something like that, but I won't be reviewing it myself unless I actually purchase the issue myself. I will not review it. This does lead me to something I want to talk about with my comic reviews. They're not really taking off on YouTube as well as I would have liked them to, but they still have their small dedicated following watching them. So all you guys who are watching this, you dedicated guys who actually want to see these videos, thank you so very, very much, because your support is what makes me keep uploading these videos. I do want to maybe branch out, sorry, I should have reached this earlier, and maybe cover more comic books. Now, the way I was thinking of doing this is just review them for as long as I buy the issues. As soon as I lose interest, I will stop the review. I will probably explain why I lose interest, because these are going to be long-running, but only monthly series. So it's not going to add too much onto my schedule. Basically, if I can just find time during that month that this comic is released, I will review it. So first one would be Amazing Spider-Man #1, just to prove that I am not against Marvel, and I think the next issue of Amazing Spider-Man is in 2 weeks' time, so I do have time to get a review out of that, or maybe it's just a week's time, I can't really remember. I think let's see, if it came out with issue 4, yeah, I think I've got 2 weeks left to actually get a review out of Amazing Spider-Man #1, just to prove I'm not totally DC centric. Spider-Man is my favourite of the Marvel characters, and the only one that I have any interest in reading, especially with Superior Spider-Man. I read that all the way through, and it was phenomenal for the entire thing. I loved everything that was in there, but I will have to kind of recap, if I do Amazing Spider-Man #1, I will have to recap some events that happened in Superior Spider-Man, just for people who are unfamiliar. The second comic book that I'm hoping to pick up is Grayson, and I'm really excited to see what Grayson will be doing now he's no longer in his Nightwing persona. Some people have been saying that now he's unmasked, it's going to not make any sense. His villains are going to know who he is, but as far as what I understand, he's going to be relocating to Russia, so I'm guessing in Russia they won't know who he is, because let's face it, Russia probably have their own superheroes and their own supervillains, so they're not going to know who he is. So I'm going to, when Forever Evil was kicking off in America, Russia wouldn't have given a shit. They're just like, well, that's America's problem. We have our own problems with our own supervillains, own superheroes. So yeah, that's just like, I think that's going to be an interesting series, and I'll run with that for as long as I'm interested. And I'm also really interested in reading the Teen Titans now. It's no longer under Scott Liddell. But if there's any comics you want me to review or talk about, even graphic novels, I will be doing the Book of Owls once I've finished the Court of Owls. volume 1 of Batman once I've finished it. About halfway through. I like to pace myself with graphic novels, just read maybe an issue or two at a time, just to kind of get that feeling of what it would have been like reading it when it came out monthly, because I did read it when it came out monthly. So all these things, just, if you've got a suggestion, if you want me to cover a comic book, you want me to cover a certain comic book arc, please leave it in the comments and I will do the best I can. If there's any new issue 1s, or just, I do like to start at an issue 1 if I can, just to get, so I can cover the whole thing, just from number 1 to number whatever we're on now. So if you want me to do more comic book stuff, let me know and I'll happily do it, because it doesn't require too much technical knowledge beyond turning my camera on, which I really do enjoy. So now I'm going to go into spoilers. I didn't intend for this video to be shorter, but I've just gone on to a tangent there. So now going on to spoilers, we'll be talking about the story. So if you don't want to know the story, you want to pick this up for yourself, which, let's face it, it's been out a week now, you should have picked it up for yourself. Click off now, because I'm going into spoilers. As always, my trusty notes are there, so you will see me glancing over, just so I can remind myself what happened in the issue, but I try to use them as little as possible. So first up, as I already showed on the first page, we see Batwing facing off. That's not the first page, that's the first page. We see Batwing facing off against the Gentleman Ghost. I do love that we're seeing all these like old villains in this. It's fantastic. I really do seeing the older villains getting a little push in the DC universe, especially in this Batman Eternal, because it's covering ones from Batman's past themselves. If you don't know who Gentleman Ghost is, I believe he actually used to help Bruce at one point as well as being like old adversaries. The Gentleman Ghost, he used to kind of like possess Bruce to help to solve crimes. Or was that Deadman? I may be getting the two mixed up. They are both ghosts after all. So Batwing faces off against Gentleman Ghost. Batman does step in and save him because Batwing doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's not really used to fighting these magic-based or supernatural-based entities. So he's just like, I tried to use my sensors, infrared, ultraviolet, all that stuff, and just I couldn't pin him down. I couldn't see him. Batman says, you rely on your technology too much. Of course, he dispatched him with a batarang made out of nth metal, which for I believe it's pronounced nth, because it is just N and TH. Nth metal, I don't know how you pronounce it. So it's just NTH in the, so it's like nth. So in the comics, but if you're familiar with that, it's from Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I believe their armour and weapons are made out of the nth metal, but I'm not too familiar with Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I know that Hawkman comics in the reboot, the new 52, didn't go down that well. Yeah, I've already talked about that. So the scene then does cut to directly below their feet. There's like a crack in the floor, and there's like a green light shining up, and it cuts down to just beneath floor level, and we see Deacon Blackfire moving through the underground networks of Gotham, and he seems to be, as he's moving along, touching things and burning them with his hands. Now he's heading to Arkham Asylum, and in the next couple of pages, the next page it does show this, that he's touching things with his hand, like burning them. And at one point I think he writes something in the wall, but you can't make it out from the artwork, and not because it's the artwork is flawed, but just because it is shown from a distance that he's tracing something in the wall with his fingers, something written. It seemed, I was trying to make out what it was, and it may say asylum, or it may say asylum or this way. It's very hard to make out because, as I say, this is from a distance. So I'm thinking maybe he's touching things and burning them to show the way out. So, because if he's heading to the asylum, is he making an escape route? I don't know. I was trying to just figure out some of the motivation here of what was going on. So yeah, he was touching things. I was like, is he making some sort of an escape route here? Because he's obviously able to come and go into the asylum as he pleases. We saw him walk through a wall in issue 2. So why is he physically moving beneath the asylum? If he can walk through walls, why isn't he doing it that way? So because he's burning things with his hand, I do believe he's like making some sort of escape route, like if you follow the burning hand marks, you find your way out. So there may be an asylum breakout in the upcoming episodes, which, if I'm honest, with the Forever Evil Arkham War arc that we just had, where a lot of the asylum inmates got out, I wouldn't like to see it again so soon. So we're then over to Wayne Manor, where Jim Corrigan is visiting Bruce. There's a particularly nice touch in this, because Jim Corrigan is the host of the Spectre, where he's holding a brandy, and the brandy is literally just levitating out of the glass and being drunk by some unseen entity, which is obviously the Spectre. I just like that. It was just like a nice little, he doesn't drink himself, but the Spectre does. I just can you imagine the Spectre getting drunk? This guy, in one motion, pretty much killed off all the magic users in the DC universe in an Elsewhere tale. He's nuts. He's literally that crazy powerful. He could unravel Superman to say, like, you don't exist. Of course that would take a large magical draw for him to do so, but I don't know why the Spectre isn't more popular. It's maybe because he's too powerful. That he does have the same weakness as Superman as well, which is magic. But he's just like infinitely strong. Maybe it's because he's so powerful that he's not that popular, but I kind of just love that he's just this crazy magical person that's just super powerful, just like essentially the embodiment of God's will. So I really did enjoy that. But the Spectre is talking about there's something going on in Arkham Asylum. Have you stopped your patrols there? Like, what's going on? Because I feel like there's something mystical, some sort of magic going on within the walls of Arkham Asylum, and this needs to be investigated. Now, Bruce doesn't have time to be he is talking to Bruce Wayne, so he's aware of his dual identity as Batman. So because Jim has one himself, he's a fellow hero. I believe they've teamed up in the past in pre-52, but current run New 52, I don't know if they've teamed up. I haven't read that myself. So yeah, they are talking about the magic, and Bruce says, like, I can't physically do this myself. I've got a war on the streets of Gotham. I need to sort this out. So he says, I will send an agent to help you out, which will be Batwing, of course, because we've already seen him in this issue. Now, a lot of stuff here happens, so I'm actually going to have to just read my notes for a second. Okay, so we're cut back to Arkham Asylum, where a prisoner who may or may not be Dr. Phosphorus from issue 2 is being led through the hallways and downstairs into Arkham City, into the lower levels. Now, Dr. Phosphorus is talking on the way down there to his guard, or the doctor, who's escorting him, who's leading him through the asylum, just saying, like, I've been having the dreams again. Is this medicine going to do me any good? Because I keep dreaming of a black maze and handprints, and it's very strange. He's obviously a very disturbed individual, if this is Dr. Phosphorus or not. He looks different to issue 2, which makes me think this may not be him, but because it is a different artist yet again, it is hard to tell, because different people draw different characters differently. So it may or may not be Dr. Phosphorus. When he's being led through the underground passages of Arkham Asylum, we start to see inmates who are missing their left arm. Their left arm has been cut off. There is a nice little moment here where we see Maxie Zeus from Batman comics of yesteryear. He's also down there with his own private nurses. He himself is missing his left arm, and the nurses attending to him are missing their left arm. All of them, left arm gone. And I was trying to remember, there was something in my head that was saying that there was something important in Batman's history about the left arm being removed. I was trying to remember what that was, but I couldn't remember it. When we get to the centre of wherever this doctor is leading, the possible Dr. Phosphorus, if it is him, I'll call him the inmate. Wherever the inmate ends up being led by his doctor, we see the Joker's daughter there, and she's sat on a pile of left arms with a throne on top, and she's saying that we're conducting a summoning to bring back the man. This man obviously is the Joker. I do hope that the Joker remains out of Batman Eternal, because personally I'm enjoying it without another plot thread coming along. It would maybe spoil my enjoyment a little bit. I'm enjoying the plot threads that we've got going at the moment. I don't need more adding on top, because that would start to confuse me. We already have a lot going on. So I don't think this will come to happen because of things that happen in this issue. So the Joker's daughter does say at this point, give him the chop. I'm believing that means cut the inmate's left arm off and send him into the maze. Sometimes they come back interesting. I don't know, but we are seeing a lot of handprints in the area. There's 2 over the Joker's daughter's shoulder, and there's also black handprints that the inmates have been putting around with black paint. There's a lot of things to do with handprints in this issue, so make of that what you will. I'm sure we'll find out as time goes on, because there was black fire earlier, burning handprints. There was the prisoners who were missing their left arms, using black paint to put handprints on the walls themselves, and they've been appearing in the areas of the asylum, so maybe it has something to do with what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, there was a lot to talk about just in that few pages. That was about 3 pages, but a lot happened there, maybe 4, but there was a lot to talk about. So Batwing meets up with Jim Corrigan outside the asylum. They do have a bit of an exchange. Basically, Jim Corrigan tells Batwing, he thinks there's something going on in the asylum. We're both going to go in there to check it out. He does break the rules, as he puts it, and casts a shield, or sort of like a ward, magical protection, however you want to see it, on Batwing. And this is going to be really cool, that Batman has sent Batwing along with Jim Corrigan, who we don't know if he's going to turn into the Spectre or not, because he can use magic even when he's not the Spectre. In his host's form of Jim Corrigan, he can still use magic, so that's pretty cool. He's not defenseless as Jim Corrigan, whereas old school Spectre, that was his weakness, the fact that the Spectre would become Jim Corrigan. He would be very vulnerable while he was in his host form, his Jim. But now it seems that Jim is perfectly capable of defending himself. He used to be a GCPD officer as well, just for if you were wondering. That's his history there, a little bit of his history there anyway. He's got a long history in the DC comics. I think even before DC, when it was, I can't remember, there was another comic book store company. I think he previously belonged to another comic book company. But he's a very interesting character. You definitely have a bit of a read about him. So they're heading in there together, and it's going to be like Batwing's training for magic. He's not had to deal with it so far. So that's going to be super interesting to read. It's just a shame that Batwing's series has been cancelled. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. It was always one that was very enjoyable to read. Apparently people just didn't have as much interest in it. He's essentially DC's version of Iron Man, just with a bit of Batman branding. He's just got like the fully exosuit, it's fully like a mech suit with, but it's got bat wings and it's black in colour, obviously, because it is a Bat Family thing. So I don't know, with his book being cancelled, if he's going to stay around or if he's going to be killed off in this event. We'll have to wait and see, but it is a shame that his comic book series is coming to a close. We end the comic with Batman in the Batmobile heading through the streets of Gotham. He's informed by Alfred that 2 bombs have gone off, one of which was at a medical supply depot, which would have destroyed everything. That was a napalm bomb, and everything would have been destroyed there, but the fire service are also on the scene. The second one was a public area. It was a cafe. There were dozens of casualties, and one of the trucks you tagged is heading through, is fleeing the scene. So Batman makes the choice to go for that one, to catch the perpetrators. The damage has been done. There's nothing he can do, so he may as well catch who was responsible, and he heads after the truck. When he heads after it, we do cut to inside the truck, and we see Deacon Blackfire just with like these radioactive drums, just of nasty shit. And there's some voice maybe speaking to him through a speaker or an earpiece or something, but there is like just saying like wait for it now. At that point he touches the contents of one of the drums, which is like some green nasty looking crap, which causes an explosion, which is going to mean the truck is going to collide with the Batmobile. Now we know that Batman's going to get out of this relatively easy. It's the Batmobile. It's an impressive piece of kit. I'm hoping that they're not going to pull some Batpod crap with this, where the Batmobile is going to just like, he's going to send like pull a skid and the Batpod's going to head away from the truck while the Batmobile crashes into the truck. It's just, I hope that doesn't happen. I seriously hope that doesn't, because the movie things are their thing. Let the comics be their own thing. So as I said, that's why the cliffhanger just wasn't as interesting for me. It's just, I can see how he's going to get out of that. It's like, I prefer not to see what's going to what's going to happen next. So it was a nice little gap anyway. It made the wait in between, the 1 week wait for the next issue to come out. It wasn't that much of a cliffhanger, and I wasn't super excited for the next issue like I was with some of the previous ones. But as I said, I did enjoy this issue the most out of all of them. It was definitely a good read, definitely setting up some new plot threads, some older plot threads coming back and expanding on them a little more, but we still have a lot of questions. Unfortunately, there was no spoiler in this issue. I'm hoping that they resolve that in the next issue, and at least include maybe where she is for the next page. 1 page or two, 1 or 2 pages for the spoiler, just to catch up with her, see where she is. I would really enjoy that. So, as I've already said, you got any suggestions for comic books or comic series you would like to cover? Just please leave a suggestion in the comment section below. Tripping over my own words, I'm a bit tired, and I will be trying to get Batman Eternal 7, not 6 but 7, imagine that being a 7, out tomorrow if I can, or the day after at the very latest, because I am now not in work for 2 days. So unfortunately the weather took a dive. It's just like I was expecting sun, but what can you do? So yeah, no sun for me. So I'll be inside reading comics, and I will be sharing what I think of them with you. So yeah, leave your suggestions for any comics you want me to review. And I think that's absolutely everything. Just I'd like to thank you all as well for your support recently. It has meant the world to me. Some of my other videos have been viewed like hundreds of times, even if my opinion hasn't been exactly entirely popular. But I do support, thank you all for your support. It did mean the world to me, because I was actually going through a bit of a tough time, and just knowing that there's like guys out there watching my videos and subscribing or liking, whatever, that's unimportant to me, but if I get that, that's nice. So just thank you all for your support, because it does mean the world to me. So I will see you either tomorrow or the day after for my Batman Eternal number 7 review. I've been N7 Strider, and I should go.